This one's entitled When a Redneck Came to Town. It occurred in Utah. On March 10, 2009, a very famous redneck came to town. Due to legal problems and an agreement with the patrons of the PG Pool Hall, certain details will be omitted. However, my respect for the posterity of those living today and civic responsibility force a disclosure. Rednecks over the years have become mobile. Once confined to a small rural settings, they were unnoticed, but NASCAR and other organizations such as the entertainment industry have spread them forth upon the entire nation. Still, many people cannot tell the difference between a redneck and a hillbilly. A hillbilly is a person like Jed Clampett, and a redneck is different, is all some people can say. I hope this story will help you to clarify and discern rednecks in general, but experience is, of course, a better method of perspicacity. This entire adventure started when Mr. E and his wife were watching their DVD collection of Hee Haw, the television show. Mrs. E said, "My tits is sagging down more than I like. I was watching Mary Osmond on the television, and she is all tightened up and looking like she is ready for some high time. I want to go to Utah for a teak job. Them folks are some mighty good fixers of loose skin. I bet I could look like I did when you took my virginity in 6th grade if I got me one of them surgeons in Utah. My God, Donnie Osmond looks fine. I wonder if he gets tightened like his sister. You know, I used to imagine his head on Daddy's bull, and it made me hotter than hell." Mr. E turns to his wife of several years and says, "I'll pay for it all and buy you a new Escalade at the caddy dealer if you tell that doc to tighten your puss too. Maybe you should get them roids fixed up too. Hell, get it all tightened and rethreaded. Go fetch some of that there cash I keep in the freezer and bring out about a half a dozen bundles." Mrs. E goes off like a good girl to fetch. As she passes through the kitchen, her teenage daughter says, "Hey Ma, where are you heading in such a fluster?" Mrs. E stops and looks her daughter right in the face while she smiles like a shit-eating cat and says, "Okay, little missy, I'm getting me rethreaded and tightened. You're not going to be the best piece in this house for long. I'll bet when I'm done, I can take your boyfriend away and have him wrapped around my finger." Little Missy jumps from her kitchen bar stool and pounds her feet on the nice granite floor. Her feet sound like frogman flippers because she wears size 10 shoes. She runs to her daddy and screams, "Daddy, I can't, you can't do this to me. Mama's gonna get plastic surgery, and I'll be just devastated if she looks better than me. Daddy, I want bigger teats and a tattoo on my private place. Please get me it all, Daddy, I gotta have it." Mr. E leans upright in his blue suede lazy boy recliner and says, "Ah, come on, give Daddy a butterfly kiss, baby doll. You're only 16 and a half now, my little girl. You got B+ nice, big, lemon-sized girly parts. Who knows what you may have when you get all growed up? Just waits a bit." Little Missy sort of smiles and giggles and says, "Daddy, you got to be more modern. This is the metric age. Even your race car is metric. I'm 16.5 years old." Her daddy is smiling and she continues, "Hannah Montana got bigger boobs and her daddy said it was okay. With all your racing money, you are richer than he is, and you got to keep up with folks like that." Mr. E says, "I suppose you was right. I never did like that metric shit, but Toyota is gonna make me use it. Tell your mama to get one more bundle from the freezer for you." Missy starts for the freezer, and her daddy yells, Hey, get that Mexican kid that cleans the pool and come in here. I gotta get him to find a dock, someplace to stay, and a good bar for me to hang out in while you two get fixed up. He knows how to use the internet on that damn computer I bought. Damn Mexicans are good at learning new shit. The poor little Mexican gets paid about $6 a day and lives in a small room in the garage. Nevertheless, he hustles his ass in to do Mr. E exactly what he pleases. The little Mexican finds the best room at the classiest hotel in Lehi, Utah. Then he Googles for a bar in Lehi, but all the responses warn about the cops. Mr. E wants to drive his '79 custom Camaro to the bar. The engine sounds like an earthquake mixed with a tornado, so the Mexican knows he better help Mr. E keep a low profile. The Mexican tries again, and the Google search engine finds a BizWiki listing, but the phone number is wrong. Finally, www.manta.com shows the Star Saloon. The listing shows no stars for the saloon of any kind, so the Mexican decides that such a joint would serve Mr. E quite well, since he is a crusty old gringo. Now, the Mexican is especially fond of Mr. E's women, since he services them as well as the pool on certain especially lonesome days. Thus, the cirujano plastico must be especially qualified to tighten and rethread. At last, with all destinations lined out, the Mexican programs the GPS in the Camaro and loads a few suitcases in the trunk. Finally, he returns to report to Mr. E. Senor, the car she is waxed and ready, the tank is full, and the GPS is programmed. Mr. E says, "Good work, Julio. I get flustered by silence. Did you forget my iPod? You know what I like. I hope you didn't forget." Julio says, "See, yes, I do it." Julio's full Mexican name is Julio Romeo Iglesias, but Mr. E says, "Julio." It's tough to be a Mexican, but sometimes it's funny too. After Mr. E and his crew leave, Julio calls his girlfriend in Tijuana to tell her what a stupid ass Mr. E is. Julio says, "He already worked for a Jap car company. Someday he worked for me, and he too stupid to know how it happened." With the exception of Otis, who was Mr. E's son, the entire E clan is on the highway. Otis and Julio are in business on the side. They have a meth lab in an old trailer somewhere on Mr. E's property. About once a week, Julio deposits $10K in his Tijuana account. Otis gets to keep about $5K and a bunch of meth, which he gives to puddle whores and his friends. Julio estimates that Otis has about 3 more years to live on account of his meth habit, and is counting them down with glee. Julio hopes that Mr. E will have to leave his fortune to his teenage daughter when he finally has a fatal accident on the racetrack. Julio has plans to be Gigolo Julio and get the family fortune any way possible. After a few hours at 160 miles per hour, Mr. E and his entourage get to Utah, and the women are dropped off at the Snippety-Clippety Clinic of Stitchery and Skin Wizardry, somewhere on University Drive, near BYU. Next, the GPS points to the Star Saloon, and Mr. E has plans for some fun if he can get it. When he arrives at the Star Saloon, he steps from his car, pulls his sunglasses up on his cap, and says, "What the fuck is Julio done now? This is a shithole. Oh, hell, I guess that's what them Hollywood folks would call patina. Cold beer is cold beer, I suppose, and I can't imagine that there won't be a bar whore inside anyway." Mr. E is an easily recognized NASCAR driver, so he expects to draw some attention. Nevertheless, as soon as he steps through the door, the bartender says, "Hey, I need an ID." Luckily, a few pool players recognize him and they say, "Hell!" And I'm not going to tell you who they spoke to because it's embarrassing for her. "That is Mr. E, 3 times Indy winner. Are you blind?" The bartender says, "Fuck, The DABC wants to take my job if I let him in without an ID. Hey Dan, would you sponsor him on your membership? At this point, I'm kind of concerned that he may think I'm from Utah. I say, absolutely I will. I hope to excuse myself from the ranks of those like the bar owner, bartender, and DABC, and all the other shit. I hope he sits by me so I can explain. Mr. E comes over to me and says, can I buy you a drink? What do you Utah boys drink around here? Then he says to the bartender, I'll have a double Jack and Coke. I got to tell you, by this time I'm so damned embarrassed I have to say, Mr. E, I wouldn't really know what they drink in Utah. I'm from Idaho. But you can get me a tequila with a lime. You probably ought to just order a shot of Jack, because in Utah they can't pour a double. Mr. E replies, what the fuck? What kind of chicken shit, bullshit, fart-licking, ass-wiper, horse's asshole shit is that? I say, let me fix this for you, please. Tell the bartender that I'll have a shot of Jack. Mr. E wants a Jack and Coke and a shot of tequila with a lime. When the order arrives, I dump my shot of Jack in his glass and drink his shot of tequila. Then I say, look, you better go sit at one of those tables if you want to drink doubles like this. Because when the bartender finds out what I did, she'll shit a brick. If we sit at a table, she'll never know. Mr. E says, oh, fuck that shit. I'm going to go to another bar. I say, this is it. This is this way all over Utah. Mr. E takes a big swig of his Jack and Coke and swallows. He gets a twisted expression on his face. What the fuck is that shit in my drink? It tastes like shit. I don't even know how to describe this shit. Is it brake fluid or something? He turns to the bartender and says, hey, what's your name? You see that $150,000 custom Camaro out in the parking lot? I'm gonna paint, fuck you, whatever your name is, on the bumper and drive all the hell all over you in this bar. I'm very distressed for the bartender, but somewhat satisfied and vindicated about the affirmation that the soft drinks from the Wonder Bar are shit. I say, look, that's the way the Coke has tasted for about a year now. It is fucked up, but if you want a decent Coke, I'll walk to the store for you and get some, in some cans or bottles. On this particular day, Toothless Mark is also in the bar. He's on duty to do his own thing. Mark interrupts me. He gets a sincere look on his face and says, hey, we're all here to have fun. He slaps himself on the chest and says, this is my bar. This is where I hang out. I know the owner of this bar, Leanne. I'll go get your Coke right now. Just give me $20 and I'll bring back change. Mr. E hands him $100. He slides his drink aside and heads for the jukebox. He says, how the hell do you get this to play Waylon and David Allen Cole? One of the bar whores hears him and she goes over to help him find his music. I lose the interest in the bullshit because all the other people in the bar are enjoying the NASCAR celebrity and getting autographs. When Mark returns, the bartender finally makes a reasonable Jack and Coke, and Mr. E seems somewhat satisfied. I notice that Mark only gives him about $20 change, so I mention it to him and ask him. I should talk to Mark, he says. Look, partner, I got me one of them Mexicans, and I take better care of him than you folks take care of yours. Hell, that Mexican hasn't even got teeth. Let him keep the $80. I mind my own business and listen to a couple of Waylon songs and then a David Allen Coe song. Suddenly the jukebox erupts in crazy bitch. And Mr. E jumps in his seat. He says, what the hell, I put $10 in that jukebox. This isn't music, it's some kind of racket. He walks over to the bar whore who's sitting drinking the drink he bought her and says, did you play this shit? This isn't music. As she sways like an advertisement in the window of an Amsterdam sex parlor, she replies, "I couldn't find any more of your music. Sorry. Hey, can you get me another drink?" Mr. E buys and buys drinks for everyone. At some point in the evening, he says to me, "Fuck, I'm pretty modern, and I even got the metric system on my Toyota 'cause they forced it on me. All these college people and their bullshit, it sucks. Well, I gotta go back to the motel." As he left, about 6 or 7 people walked out the door to look at his car. The cops stopped him, but he's a celebrity, so they let him go. I wonder what would have happened if I'd have offered to buy that can of spray paint instead of go get him some coke.